Wealth killer number 4 are your designer clothes. Do you know who is arguably the richest person in the world? It's Bernard Arnault, who is the CEO and founder of LVMH. What's LVMH? Well, that's the company that owns Louis Vuitton, Dior, Tiffany, Fendi. And this begs the question, how did he become the richest person in the world? Well, people pay him so they can look rich. What does that mean? People would rather look rich than be rich. How do I know that? If you remember back in 2020, 2021, when we had that free money, stimulus checks were going out, unemployment checks were going out, people had a lot of extra cash in their pockets. And we were in a recession. If you remember, we were in a recession in 2020, 2021. Well, during that recession, luxury sales of Louis Vuitton and other brands like that were breaking record sales, record profits during this recession. People got free money. And what did they do? Well, we went to the Louis Vuitton store and we got ourselves a new bag, a new purse, or a new wardrobe. You buying these luxury clothes does not make you rich. It makes you look rich, and it makes Bernard Arnault rich, and it makes the other investors in these fashion companies rich. So if you want to get rich, use your money smartly first. That way you can buy all the luxury stuff you want without having to worry about the price. Number 5 is bad family planning, and this is supposed to be a bottle. According to the data, it costs somewhere between $15,000 to $17,000 per year to raise a child. This is an average. Some people it's going to cost way more. Some people it's going to cost way less. The reality here is if you want to have kids, it's going to cost money. You got to pay for healthcare, you got to pay for diapers, got to pay for milk, got to pay for baby food, got to pay for strollers, and a lot of other things. And if you don't have the money for that, then you're going to put it on your credit card. Which means that when your kid goes to college, you're not going to be able to fund their student loans. You're going to ask them for money to pay for your credit card bill. And so if you want to avoid all that headache, wait to have kids until you got the money to have kids. Get your money right first. And that can be a hard thing to say, but this is where you want to start thinking about how you're actually going to afford this. And it's not just kids. It's also who you're going to pick as your partner. If you're a guy, who are you going to pick as your wife? If you're a girl, who are you going to pick as your husband? What type of person are you going to pick? Because if that person is not good and you get a divorce, that divorce can end up costing you a whole lot of money. As an attorney who's not your attorney, what I can tell you is that divorces are expensive. I don't care if you have a prenup or not. They're going to be expensive, and if you don't think through these things early on, if you don't find a good partner who's going to support you, it can end up costing you a whole lot more in the future. Now, I get it, things happen. Things can happen that you don't expect. You can't always control those things, but before you put a ring on it, before you go and marry the person, think about if this person is going to be an asset in your life, in your future family's life, or are they going to be a liability? The 6th biggest wealth killer is your home. A lot of people who buy a home in America have buyer's remorse. I'm not talking about 10% of people, or 20% of people, or a quarter of home buyers. I'm talking about more than half of home buyers have buyer's remorse after they go out to buy a home. Why? Because many people end up buying a home they can't afford. Why? Because your realtor and your mortgage banker tell you that the home that you buy is the biggest investment you're ever going to make. And because it's an investment in you, your kids, your wealth, your generational wealth, what do? You go out and you buy a little bit bigger. You stretch yourself a little bit more thin. So now more of your budget, more of your income is going to make just your mortgage payments. But the problem with the bigger home is you also got bigger property taxes. The problem with the bigger home is your utility bills are also a little bit more. The problem with the bigger home is your insurance is also a little bit higher. So your expenses are higher. And if you have this nicer home, well, you can't have that ugly looking bathroom. Now you got to pay to upgrade the bathroom. You want to renovate the basement. You want to refinish your whole kitchen. These things cost money. And many times they cost more money than what you expect. And so now you have to keep paying for these things in your home, which you thought you were just going to pay your monthly mortgage payment and your property taxes and be done. But now you have to keep paying for these upgrades. And then when you feel like you finally finish up the upgrades, your window breaks, or your AC stops working, or your roof starts leaking. And now you got to pay to repair that. And so you constantly have these costs as a homeowner, which you didn't expect. But if you don't prepare for these costs, now you have to eat into the money you were going to invest, the money you were going to save, or maybe you're eating into the money that you were saving, which means you no longer have the ability to invest and save, and you're getting poorer because you bought this home. All of your money is going right into the home, so it becomes a money pit as opposed to something that you thought you were going to just be able to pay off and live a little bit more financially free. So instead of doing that, I want you to be a little bit smarter, buy a home that you can afford, not that the bank says you can afford, that you can comfortably afford. That way now, well, you don't have to worry about the monthly payment so much, and you continue to invest your money because you know that your investments are going to make you wealthy, not your home. And finally, number 7 is your debt payments. I applaud you if you have stuck with me this far. What I mean here by your debt is not that you're going to go out and get more debt. I don't want you to do that. But when I talk about debt here is you're not using your 20s as a time to aggressively pay down your debt. Now, here's the thing. You want to always be putting money aside to invest. There's 2 different things that you can do to invest this money. You can put this money into the markets, into the real estate market, into the stock market, something to grow this money, or you can use this money to pay down your debt. And depending on where you are, if you have a lot of student loans, if you have a lot of credit card debt, if you have a lot of outstanding debt, you can use your investment money to also pay down some of this debt. And the reality is, if you have a lot of debt, you're going to be paying a lot of interest on that debt. And the faster you can get out of that, the faster you'll have more money to invest, and the faster you'll have to not stress about the money anymore. So use your 20s as a time to, number 1, not get into more debt, but also number 2, aggressively pay down that debt. This is the best time to go through the decade of sacrifice. That means spending less and earning more so you can invest this money like crazy. Invest this money to pay down your debt, invest this money into the markets, that way you can grow your wealth. Use your 20s as a time to also build your wealth. That way, by the time you hit 30, you can hit the ground running and just attack your investments, build your wealth, because that way, by the time you hit 40, now you have this new nest egg, this new income stream from your investments that can pay you without you having to go to work. That's what investing is all about, but that requires you to be financially smart and put in the sacrifice early when everybody else is driving around in the fancy cars, going on the fancy vacations with money that they don't have. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you got to do is click that button right over there. And for those of you who want to stay up to date on the top finance and business news, you can join Market Briefs, my free financial newsletter, by clicking that button below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.